Hey everyone, hope you're doing well today. Hope you're enjoying the event. Thanks for coming to the last official session of the day. Yeah,
Mhm.
there we go. Some rounds of applause. Give
Yeah,
yourself a round of applause for making it this long.
absolutely.
I love it. I love it. My name is Mark Kilens. This is Michelle Ashley. We are with Airmeet. So, number one, hope you're enjoying the Airmeet experience. We're lucky and fortunate enough to be able to partner with Tenbound and help them host this awesome event. And today, for the next 25 minutes, Michelle and I are going to have a conversation with you. We definitely want to make this a conversation. We'll do some introductions in a second, but it's all about, Michelle, the keys to creating amazing event experiences so that you can create a waterfall. Imagine that picture, a waterfall of pipeline.
Who doesn't want a waterfall of pipeline? Come on.
I mean, I think that's every marketer, every salesperson is chasing that, right?
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
searching, they're searching for that elusive waterfall. So, Michelle, why don't you do a quick intro for everyone?
Sure. So I am officially reckless. I am less than 1 month into this role, but super excited to be here as the VP of Global Digital Sales. Basically, NetNet is operationalizing our entire SDR, BDR, LDR, and inside sales roles globally, and looking to fill the funnel for sure.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Super excited to be partnering with Michelle. She has like a very extensive background. I'll just say that her background is extremely impressive. Has worked with some amazing brands and companies that have seen just hyper growth. And for me being the CMO at Airmeet, I'm so looking forward to, already have been, partnering with her on how to do a lot of the things that was talked about earlier today. So I thought this event so far has been great. A lot of great ideas across the board. And today, during the next 22 minutes or so, we want to talk about how do you use events. So Michelle and I have used events at our past companies. I used events extensively at Drift, at HubSpot to drive a lot of pipeline, a lot of revenue. Things have obviously changed. They continue to change. Michelle's done the same. So we're going to break this conversation down into three parts. First, we're going to talk about how should marketing and sales align pre-event. Second, how do they align during the event? Third, how do they align after the event? And that's just the first section we're going to talk about. So we're going to rapid fire through that and hopefully engage you folks as well. And you folks can ask some questions. And by the way, if you want to come on the stage and ask a question with your video or audio on, just do that. Raise your hand and we'll bring you on stage. If you want to just use the Q&A, just use the Q&A. If you want to just ask questions in the chat thing, that's fine too. But we want to make sure that we really provide you with the answers you're seeking. The second section, Michelle, we're going to dive into the types of events that she thinks and I think are the best for sales and marketing to host together. Together is the key there. And then lastly, we'll kind of talk about this throughout the whole conversation. How do we use data, attendee engagement data, event data, as buying intent signals? And how does marketing and sales partner on that front to really help us make the buying experience more personalized, maybe accelerate it, things like that? So let's dive in. So Michelle, the thing we talk a lot about at Airmeet is this idea of events becoming this like strategic imperative at the business. Events shouldn't be seen as a channel or an offer. It should be seen as a strategy that marketing, sales, customer success, the product team all use to grow the business in some fashion or one or the other, right? And it's all about
Mhm.
figuring out the right event for the right audience with the right experience. So when you think about pre-event, right? Before the event happens, before even registration goes live. How do you envision marketing and sales working on defining the audience? Which you and I have talked about this before we jumped on here as being like probably the one thing that's most important to get right, the audience. How have you
Mhm.
done that in the past with the marketing team? How do you envision me and you doing it in the future?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just can't imagine us not being aligned towards growth goals. I think it's just where people should be at. And we both have skin in the game, and it's super important. But I think more than like creating event, I'm thinking about like event led growth. How do we create engaging experiences that are with our customers in mind,
Mm,
right? And the way you and I are starting to tackle this is, of course, on the back end, or on the front end, we can have the most magical Airmeet experience that's driving engagement all the way to the analytics at the end. But I think the core differentiator is how do we set up and optimize all of the processes immediately that are relevant and meaningful to the event afterwards. And as you know, we talk about speed to lead is super important.
Yeah. So like you're thinking about like the end in mind. So we'll give you folks a framework right now. Like, why are you doing the event for the business, but also why would someone show up to the event? And before you even ask yourself that, we believe in this idea of the who, right? Like, who should be coming to the event? So to your point, hey, you might have a growth goal for a specific business segment. And even within that business segment, it might be a specific industry or type of persona or some way you segment your business, right? That's, I think, Michelle, you hit the nail on the head. That's how marketing and sales upfront should align. What is the purpose of this event for the business? Why would the attendees show up? And how does that map into your revenue goals? And those revenue goals and pipeline goals can help you really identify the who. And you can be thoughtful then, is this more a brand type event? And it's going to be, post 90 days, we might expect something to happen. Is it going to be more like, no, this is targeting people who are in market, who are open opportunities. We're trying to get them to close faster, very different type of event, or programming you might do. So the who and the why are super important. The other thing we talk about is how should you design the event and what does the event's run of show look like, which I think also has to be done with the who, the why, followed by this how and the what. Like, how do you design an event that actually achieves the attendees and your objectives? And what type of event should it be? Should it be a virtual networking event with some type of physical experience associated with it? Should it just be an event like this that's a little bit like larger in nature, that's more thought leadership? I really believe that like that pre-planning and having an event brief, this is like a key thing that I want you and I and everyone here who's in sales and marketing to like really focus on. You need a place where all of this is defined and you collaborate on this event brief. I don't think enough businesses like focus on taking the time to write all this stuff down and then to your point, design the systems behind it. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I think one of the things that I love about what you have created thus far is everybody talks about defining the ICPs, but your team has really spent a lot of time identifying who is it that we serve. And what I'm focusing on right now is creating the persona messaging for that. And everybody knows that we need to do this, but I would probably, if I could take a poll right now, I would say everyone knows we need to do this, but a lot of us aren't doing that down to that kind of curated experience for the personas. So when you're talking about who, I think it's important to realize that you don't necessarily serve everybody. And it's important to start with the ICPs and the personas and the challenges and the things that they're experiencing so that you can use that language and curate an experience that's driving engagement for your brand. What do you think?
No, I agree. And David has a question. Can you walk us through how you do an annual planning process with events to support the company's goals? So, I just did this at Drift. We're starting to do this at Airmeet. So one of the core things we used at Drift to help with this is the product roadmap. So this goes beyond marketing and sales alignment, Michelle, but if you can understand with your product leadership team, what is the roadmap? What are to your point on messaging and value statements and those things that are coming out that you want to, seed the market with, that is going to be in 6 months a major release, you can build an event strategy for that, right? And if you're at the level of sophistication where you're actually measuring product adoption and revenue from new products and the amount of expected upsell or cross-sell or whatever it might be, then you can be extremely intentional with the type of event you want to design. Like how much is it going to be customers who are in the beta of that product experience that are going to be at the event speaking on your behalf, talking about the product, advocating for you about that product, right? How much is that going to then drive the types of people from your company that might attend that event, either online or in person? You need to have more product workshops. You want more customer type content, or is it going to be a little bit more thought leadership because the product is really new and innovative in the industry, and you want to evangelize this new big idea, and say, look, the product's coming out. And at HubSpot, a lot of the times we did that for some of our product releases because we announced the product, but it wasn't from a GA standpoint, general availability, for another maybe 3 months down the road, right? So we kind of announced the beta. So to me, David, like one of the best ways you could do this is through product road mapping, but then also one of the other things we did, and Michelle, I love your take on this and some of the things you might have seen in the past that work, is like look at where your customers are. This is for more in-person events and hybrid events, but like just do an analysis of your database and see the geos where there's highest concentration of both customers and potential prospects. Goes to your point around ICP definition and having your idea around that. But I thought those two ways that we've done in the past were super beneficial to getting the teams aligned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And, what's interesting is where you think you're going isn't always where you end up going. And what we've realized is we know here at Airmeet that we serve marketing very well. But what we're uncovering is so many different use cases that we hadn't thought about initially. And what we're seeing is, there's HR because customers are worried about employee engagement, right? And retention and keeping them happy in a virtual world. But then we're also looking at like career recruiting events for colleges and, internal kind of communication. But a couple use cases that you and I talked about were like SKO. I think that's a pretty cool idea for marketing and sales to engage with.
Yeah, let's shift into those use cases. That's so like we have 3 use cases. You started off with the SKO one, which I think is super interesting. I'm glad you did that. Like, so I actually was very much involved at my previous company, Drift. You can see the lightning bolt actually behind me if you're familiar with the logo. We were involved in all the sales kickoffs and second half year kickoffs. Marketing was as involved as sales. Like it was a complete partnership, and it actually aligned us that much stronger because, as many of us know, the prep involved in that, and yeah, sometimes it's last minute, but like it just naturally brings the teams together and helps you build that relationship. So if you're not doing that today, 100% recommend you actually kind of force yourself to partner if you're in sales or if you're marketing with the other team with your kickoffs and second half kickoffs. I think that's spot on. The other event that you talked about that's something that you probably have done in your past companies. Love to get your ideas on this event. Is the customer plus prospect roundtable. Like that's invite only, VIP. It could be in person. It could be digitally. It's got to be enhanced with some type of experience. It can't just be content. Like, talk to us about how you have maybe done that with marketing in the past.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm seeing is a trend where, customers want to talk to other customers of ours, right? And we're probably all experiencing that. And there's nothing that brings more trust and validation to your solution than having a current customer who's gone through it and is utilizing that solution. So one of the things that we talked about is doing like Fireside Chats. Make it a little bit casual. Ship everybody out some s'mores or some cookie recipes or different things like that. Have a virtual fireside chat where you've got like a customer there showcasing what they experienced before and the value that they've got out of it afterwards. So I thought that was kind of a creative idea.
Yeah, we called those Drift Ascend events. We branded this series, and it was like 60% prospects, 40% customers. We did them in person and digitally. I'll give everyone on the sales side who's listening a pro tip. If your marketing team's not doing this, this is something that we're going to start doing soon, Michelle. Send them something that they can experience, during the event, if it is an online event. But the thing that I think is super unique is sending them something when you send them the invitation. So like, a week or maybe maybe even 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the event happens, send them some type of like personalized unboxing experience at that point. So they're gonna remember that, right? And have it come from the account executive, be really nice and personalized. Send them something that they can experience together at the event, in whatever location they are, right, through this types of means. And then, a week later, a couple days later, whatever the right time frame is, send them another thing. It doesn't have to be huge, but another physical thing that they can open and experience with a thank you note from their account executive or AM. Like if you do that, have those 3 touch points, because I've done the math already, I've looked into this, the average cost per attendee will still be less, most likely, than if you did an in-person experience. And again, I'm not saying only do that. I think you kind of need to do both. And it depends on, of course, your ACVs, your business, where your customers are. But if you can be more purposeful with having these different engagement points, during these events, which kind of gets us into like, how do we use event data to understand buying intent and buying signals, Michelle?
Yeah.
You will stand up from the competition, right? Because that gives your sales team 3 key interactions with a prospect pre, during, and post an event, and that you're creating this like moment of memory in their mind. So I just feel like a lot of people don't do that. And maybe if you're listening and you're on the sales side, you can ask your marketing team to do that. If you're in marketing, there you go. I would definitely try that. We're going to do that in a few months.
I love it. Yeah, at a previous company, we did a pizza making night. So we literally sent them like all of the Italian ingredients. They had to like grow the dough, and that we had a real pizza chef from Italy make the pizza, and then they got to listen to a quick little presentation and then have a pizza on a Friday night. So it was kind of fun way to engage.
That's actually a first. I've not heard of that. The pizza mate. That's pretty good. And like a lot of that has now subdued and died off a little bit, which is, fine, understandable, but like you're getting some love right there, right? People are loving that one, Rochelle. They're not folks, businesses aren't doing this as much anymore. I think this is an opportunity, and it's going to even out in 2023. That's like at least my prediction, where, right now, like just look at the in-person event calendar. It is insane. Like it's absolutely insane. I think in 2023, especially when you look back at like the performance of these in-person events and the data and just the ROI, it will level out. That's what I'm hearing as a prediction. So the more you can do to get ahead of that and think about like unique experiences like that, the better. So let's talk about the last thing. And folks, if you have any questions, let us know. Brendan, we agree. Sales and marketing need to know the roadmap. They need to be in lockstep. The roadmap, in my opinion, just a quick aside, Michelle, is like it's contentious. It's like you talk about product and sales alignment or product and marketing alignment. Like that's probably the point of most contention. What did you think? Like most organizations?
Not with us, but yeah.
No, I know, but like you always saying like, hey, can you just build this with this one customer? It's a $30,000 deal. Like, hey, why is this delayed? Like, it's like. I agree. It's just like, but it's like always like this thing that like is coming up. So the more that I think you could have like a strong relationship with your product team, and also use events to enable them to talk to customers, reach customers. We did an event recently where it was just it's actually a monthly event. It's called the Power Hour event, and it's really about like Airmeet users and customers. We invite some people that are in like sales, in the sales process with us to come, but we had an event that showcased the next 6-month product roadmap. So we're going to do that every 6 months. For the next 6 months, we're trying to be as transparent as we can be. Here's the product roadmap, customers. We'd love your feedback on it. Here's how you can get involved in our closed betas and our open betas. So just giving your product team the opportunity to talk to customers through events is probably a good idea. What do we got? We got Paige saying, yeah, she loves that. Company hosts cooking events, or she loves the pizza one. Never thought about hosting the cooking events for prospects and customers and champions. Yes. I mean, people love food, Michelle.
Well, I heard the Salesforce one a couple years ago during the pandemic. I think they shipped cookie making kits to all of their employees with Snoop Dogg there. Obviously, we know what Snoop Dogg likes, but they had cookie cutters in the forms of marijuana leaves. I mean, so I'm sorry if I'm offending you wherever you're at, but I thought, well, that was pretty dang cool. And then they walked them how to make cookies during the event. So I guess
that's genius.
Like
that's genius. No, I mean that's next level stuff.
The data analytics, I think that's huge, right?
Talk about it. Yes, intent signals.
Yeah. So a couple things that I absolutely love. So let's talk about, doing a hybrid event. So you want to do an in-person event, but you also, not everybody can travel, and family and different things like that. So we've got emulating this virtual event online as well. One of the things I love, especially if you're getting sponsors for booths, is this ability to literally get the data back to our customers on not only who attended and visited that booth, but how long and where are they coming from and what device are they on and where did they spend the most time on the content. And what I love about this, Mark, is you and I talked about this, is imagine a world where you can then take that content where, people are really spending time and engaging, and then use that to recreate blogs and different things like that after the event. So for me, that was super powerful versus, scanning an event, your badge, and then uploading those leads. By the way, we can do that in real time as well after the event. We have over 50 different integrations into CRM, et cetera, where we can get that speed to lead fast for you. So you can get it into your CRM, get it to your SDR team. But for me, that was super powerful. What do you think, Mark?
I agree. And to build off that, it's about how do you give your sales team not too much data, but like the right amount of data? Because like right now they're probably getting, to your point, who signed up, who showed up. Do they have any data about like who engaged and what did they engage with? Like which sessions excuse me, did they tune into? Hey, which ones were they most engaged in? Like if you could tell a salesperson, yeah, they went to these 3 sessions, but like the one that they spent the most time in and they asked a question and they used the emojis and they were definitely engaged. And by the way, we can give you all this data. Then that's how they can personalize the reach out after the event, right? And like maybe it goes beyond just looking at the session. Maybe it's like, hey, they looked at this session, but they also checked out this resource that you have in your resource section of your event platform. Maybe they also went to your website during the event. So you start to tie together these like digital footprints and fingerprints between the event, your digital properties, your content, to your point. I mean, it starts to tell a pretty compelling story. And I feel like that's definitely an underutilized thing right now. And something that like we're trying to build into a new product, which is how do you triangulate all of this data and create almost a profile for each attendee that sales can act on.
Yeah, I think it's also cool if you're thinking of a live event where you can set up all of the attributes at registration so that, an attendee can click on what they like and don't like. And then you can curate an experience. Think of like a reception for that content. That may not be the same that you would like to attend. So you could almost customize these receptions or keynotes, if you will, based upon the attributes of what that person likes. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that right now, based off of like the fields that you might have in your form. To your point, you could serve up a slightly different welcome experience for each event. Something we're looking to explore right now is that when someone enters the event, you could get a personal message from that account executive or from someone else at the company or a customer. Like you could basically personalize the video experience when they enter the event based off of who they are, what they filled out. Like once personalization gets into at least digital events, it's starting to take it to the next level. You start to see this a little bit at in-person events with the VIP ticket, but even that, like, it's still not like super one-to-one personalization. It's probably still like kind of one-to-many type personalization, Michelle.
Yeah, I think we're at our time limit, and I just wanted to be able to give a proper. We're not.
Yes. I don't know. Are we? Let's like. I haven't.
25, but I just didn't want to get brought out. But I just thought of something. I'm not a marketer, but I thought with Mark and Michelle, we could be M&M. How cool would that be?
I mean, that's a whole podcast. That's a show. I love it. Yes, and we are at time. I'm sorry. You're man. Okay. That went by super fast.
It did.
We want to thank you, everyone. We really hope you enjoyed the event. We just say thank you so much for Tenbound. We've had this partnership with them for many, many years. Been a great customer. Thank you so much. Love the folks at Tenbound. They're amazing. And Michelle, this is a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Michelle Marie Ashley, or email me, michelle@airmeet.com. Happy to hear your feedback. It just helps us become better. So, and love to network as well. So nice to meet all of you.
All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. Take care.